She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cock-a-crow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cock-a-crow, dog-a-bag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck-a-quack. Cock-a-crow, dog-a-bag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck-a-quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now a come home. Inaga, jackass yard for fetchy load. Cockle shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokunani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Bangameri. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come. Out in the yard, them all gather round. Some a play catcher, some making house from straw. Two who come later, a grandma or grandpa. All a sit down just a wait. Moonlight so bright, it's just the right time to listen story or to say a little nursery rhyme. Grandpa voice a echo in the night as he tell some picnic are there with fright. Oh, Ligan, Mungeza, Massa Kurma Nancy, even Watamuma. Oh, Ligan, Moongazer, Massa Kurma Nancy, even Watamuma. Yeah, man, that's the true story that tell the people about life in the country, life in the country.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Killian Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm,
Hey, good evening. It's what is it, 5 or 6 minutes after 9 o'clock in beautiful Guyana. For those of you who are in Guyana, those of you who are in other parts of the world. Good evening, good morning, good night, whatever it is. Welcome to Straight Up. We are going to rock and roll for just about an hour. I promise you guys that we are not going over an hour at all. We are just not going to do that. So let me say good evening to all of you, every single one of you, wherever you are, especially those folks who are in Blackbush Polder. Here's why I'm mentioning Blackbush Polder. Some friends of mine, I'm between Linden and the country, and I went away on the quarantine when I was a little boy, and so everything for me is about quarantine, right? Quarantine. Don't make joke with me on quarantine. Don't slip up with me on quarantine. If you guys want me to start talking like quarantine people, how quarantine people attack, make them talk like that too. And there are a lot of people. I want you guys to get this clear, right? There are a lot of people, when they hear me speak, like Abidis and Ayadis, they think that I'm mocking people who are from the quarantine and who speak Abidis and Ayadis. But little do they know that that is exactly how Abi used to talk a quarantine. So I can start off this program, Brenda, I hope you're watching. I can start off this program. I know we should be talking about the budget, right? Because a lot of people are going to left hungry from that budget. Guyana will have a lot of people who are hungry. I'm not going to be calling anybody hungry belly, because anybody can be hungry belly. Anybody, not one particular ethnic group, but everybody could be hungry belly. Have you ever been in a train when you sit next to somebody and the belly go grrr, grrr, and you look around and it's somebody who is of a different ethnicity? And then you look around and then it's somebody else from a different ethnicity. So the point that I'm trying to make is any and everybody can be hungry belly. Have you ever heard somebody say, oh, why my belly hot, me hungry, me proper hungry, why? You know, those of you who are from the quarantine would understand that. J.R. Crawford, Vidna, and all of you people, I've noticed that someone who is from Eversham, they want to talk about Eversham and all these sort of things. Marl Joseph, good evening. Look, whoever Marl Joseph is, hear what? Marl Joseph, every single night, religiously, this person says, share the broadcast, y'all, please, and thank you. Whoever Marl Joseph is, hey, I've got a raise for you. It's not going to be from the budget. It is not going to be from the budget. And so tomorrow, hey, I just got this note from Lemon. Elson Lowe is going to be with us. I want Elson Lowe to just break everything down. He's the budget guy. He's the economist. He studied for that. For me, I studied to become an activist, a real political activist. I've studied that, right? But this guy's an economist. And Elson Lowe, a lot of you guys love Elson. I don't know for what reason, right? I don't know why. Somebody actually asked me if Elson Lowe, I don't want to say it, but I'll say it publicly, man. Somebody asked me if Elson Lowe is my son. Better not make Elson Lowe parents here because, I don't know. No, Elson Lowe, look, he's right there. He's smiling. He's laughing. We'll bring you right back on shortly, Elson. But I just wanted the people to see Elson. He's on the backstage and he's laughing. Probably the first time I've seen him laugh for more than 2 seconds, right? He loves that. Somebody probably told him that too, right? But hear what? Guess what? Tomorrow's budget, they're going to be reading the budget. But this guy, no stranger to y'all, this guy, and thank you, Marl Joseph, for asking people to share the link. Sherwin Green, good evening to you. I've noticed that Sherwin Green, I think he shared the link, probably after 10 years. Thank you, Sherwin. And belated birthday greeting greetings to your little boy. I think he turned 4 or 5 or something like that. Belated birthday greetings to him. In fact, he celebrated it yesterday. Give him a little raise for me, Sherwin, a little top up, because as you know, at some point in time, he'll be able to partner with us here on 107.1 FM. But look, let's get to this guy here. This guy. This is what this guy is saying. I don't know how much sense he's making, but this is what this guy is saying. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but he's saying here, no new taxes in 2022. No new taxes. That's after they gave all of that burdensome taxes. Value-added tax was a 16%. Thank God for the coalition government that reduced it to 14%. Lots of other things the coalition government did undo what the PPP did, right? So look, this is what Jack Day was saying. No new taxes in 2022. Sorry, I'm using Jack Deere's voice here, right? PPP government installed regime, that is, it should be, focuses on putting money in the hands of Guyanese. Give me a break. Give me a break. Let me show you what they're going to be doing tomorrow when they go into Parliament. This is what they will be giving every Guyanese. Look at it. A lollipop. One lollipop. They can't talk about increase people's salaries, public servants, take them to 10 or 15%. They can't talk about that. But this is what Jack Day wants to give every Guyanese, a lollipop. We'll talk about this lollipop some other time. But I think it's highly offensive. Then again, that's all Jack Day could probably do. Give lollipops to people and then say that there will be no new taxes, there will be nothing, and there'll be something in there for everybody. That is a lie, a big, big lie. But look, I'm not the expert in terms of economics and the economy and these sort of things. And unlike other folks, if I don't know something, I step aside. I don't pretend as though I know, and I don't run around the place giving people the impression that I know. This is not my area, man. This is not my area. Let me bring the expert in. Where is Lemon? Lemon, can we have Mr. Lowe, please? Bring him on. Mr. Benchop. Mr. Elson Benchop. Mr. Lowe.
Good evening, good evening. You looking to put me in problems tonight or what, man?
No, I don't want to put you in problems. Apologize to your dad, apologize to your mom, apologize to your entire family. Elson Lowe, mind you.
Though I will admit that the moment that you cranked up for that one, I knew exactly what you were going to say. So that's why I was already laughing.
You're a QC boy, so you know they say QC boy, so you can preempt that. Mr. Lowe, how have you been, sir?
I've been good. Had a good holiday period and ready and raring to go after this budget.
All right, so we're glad to see you. And every time you're in this program, people just appreciate everything that you do and say. Let's begin with this here, sir. Elson Lowe. Here is what Jack Day is saying, who happens to be sitting there as the vice president of Guyana. He says here, no new taxes in 2022, and that the government, their installed regime, will focus on putting money in the hands of Guyanese. Are we seeing more cash grants for something? What's happening there, sir? Break it down for the people.
Well, the first thing I would say is he's acting as if that's some sort of an accomplishment or something, but in a country with huge oil reserves where we're starting to produce oil, where we're expecting the economy to grow by about 50%, just under 50% this year, it would kind of be a surprise if he was introducing new taxes, because we have substantial revenue to cover the needs of the country, at least in the short term as we go forward. And we know that the PPP seems intent on using the entirety of what is in our Natural Resources Fund Act. So I don't know that I see that as some sort of a proclamation that we should get excited about or even be interested in. Everyone knows that there's substantial funds available and they intend to use those funds. There isn't that sort of a heavy need to increase taxation right now. So that to me is it doesn't really add a whole lot of value to what he's saying. Doesn't add a whole lot of value. What I would also say is that that I can imagine that they're scrambling to try and put money in people's hands because the PPP has ignored inflation in this country, has ignored really the substantial increase in the cost of living, and now they're coming under severe pressure because Guyanese really are sweating, and you're seeing all sorts of absurdities now come forward. Of course, Plantain was the one that captured so many people's attention. But I was remarking to someone that I think that the reason it did that is that it was really the last food, the last staple that lower income people, the poor people could get access to try and stave off, to try and avoid these high prices for their daily lives. And when that went up, it was like you had no place to hide from these high costs. So I think they're under tremendous pressure in that regard. I think also that there are a couple of areas which do to their specific mismanagement. We've seen prices go through the roof, one being in housing and the other being in the production of fish. And we can discuss both those, in some degree of detail. But yes, there is a real question about the cost of living, in Guyana. There's a question all over the world. But there are some specific areas I see substantial failings by the PPP. And as a result of that, I think they're under some really serious pressure coming into this budget.
One of the things, Elson, and thank you so much. One of the things that we know that this install regime has been doing is basically going out there. They have no plans. They have absolutely nothing that they can do. But they have been going out there because it's some sort of a Ponzi scheme. So it appears that they have all these cash grants schemes. How healthy is that for a country, Mr. Lowe, and how healthy it is for the economy?
Absolutely, I think that that's an issue, and I would say more specifically that cash grants that are not done in a structured, specific way, where you have metrics that you're looking to accomplish, whether it's human development metrics like educational attainment, or healthcare benefits, and so on. Without having those types of specific metrics in place, you find yourself in trouble because you're just doling out money. There's no end in sight. There's no specific amount that's going to be your maximum amount you're going to dole out. And we know that as the population's demands can grow and grow, and you end up having to give more and more cash grants. So that is very problematic. I think one of the things you observe quite a lot with the PPP is that either there is no plan or the plan is very nefarious. And I think in the case of cash grants, you have a little bit of both. That is to say, there's hardly any real long-term structure to this. It's just kind of a chaotic spraying of money. The giving of Gaisuko workers $250,000 for, not much of a reason is one great example of that. But you also have a lot of nefarious things here. We are still to see, we'll see whether there's corruption involved or not. But we're still to see whether there's going to be any kind of accountability regarding the original COVID-19 cash grant, which there was an audit that's supposed to be conducted. We're still waiting on the results of that audit, and for which, I think on my first program here with you, I mentioned about $1.5 billion Guyana dollars are not accounted for. So these cash grants provide unfortunately, due to their nature, provide an opportunity for those types of questionable things. And it's easy to steal cash. One of the things people are saying is, when it comes to cash grants, we have no way of knowing how much they actually gave out. It's very difficult for us to know that unless there's an audit. Did they give to every household in a particular community? Did they give to half? Did they pocket half? We don't know. That's why we're looking for an audit. And was it 2022 now? 2020 was when that cash grant program started out. I mean, I have to say this audit is taking a long time, longer than many audits that I've heard about. So I'm curious how long it will take before we get an account for this $1.5 billion.
You know what, Mr. Lowe, don't hold your breath. There will be there's not going to be any audit. It's just a public show. That is what it's about. They don't believe in audits because I heard the guy who sits there as the minister, Mr. Zulfikar, who, by the way, is repairing his house. So I was told up in Bloomfield Village and thing. Mr. Zulfikar, good evening. Good evening to your man who attended Winifred Gaskin Memorial Secondary. Seem to be living the good life now. Compliments of the taxpayers of Guyana. And you are correct, Mr. Lowe. They don't believe in the audit. The audit or audits will expose them. Whatever happened to the pink slips? Thousands of persons have been given pink slips and they have been promised that they are going to return. These people will return and fix them up. Thousands of people have not been fixed up. But yet tomorrow, we're going to be hearing about the budget for ordinary people, and everybody will get money and a lollipop in their pockets. That's what they're talking. And then we will have no taxation at all. Whatever happened to the pink slips, Mr. Scott?
Well, one thing I think we can make specific for your viewers is this. For every pink slip, there's supposed to be a $25,000 allocation to match that pink slip. So for everyone who has not received $25,000 and is in possession of a pink slip, you have to ask the question, where is that $25,000? Each one of those pink slips corresponds to a $25,000. Where is the rest of this money? What has happened to that money? Is that money in the consolidated fund? Has it been returned? What is the status of that money? Or is that money just gone? Because ultimately, once you've received the pink slip, it must have been accounted for somewhere. And an audit would expose all those pink slips where you're supposed to have $25,000 sitting somewhere, but maybe that $25,000 is gone.
You know where it's gone to. I can tell everyone where that $25,000 gone to. Thousands of it. But you know what? I rather not do that now because lots of people will suffer from some sort of emotional distress. But we all know where that money went to. We all know where it went to. Speaking of corruption, massive corruption. Pronounce on this, Mr. Lowe, please.
Yes, absolutely. So what we see is that Guyana has actually fallen on the rank. We saw Guyana perform quite poorly on the PPP. They throughout their entire tenure, they didn't have good corruption ratings. I think the lowest ever was 37, or at least in recent history, but there's lower rates than that. In any case, while the coalition was in office, we saw very substantial improvements. I think the high was 4-1. And, that indicated that, we were perceived as moving in the right direction. What I would say to citizens to focus this narrative is this. When you have, for the first time, oil revenues being used in your budget, coming into your economy, directly being produced, do you really want to see us declining, going backward, getting worse in terms of corruption? Doesn't that concern you? How can we now, when we're going to be spending more than we've ever spent before, be seeing the country take a step back when it comes to the question of people stealing or otherwise misappropriating these funds? It really should raise your eyebrows and make you very concerned about what we're going to see. And so I think that helps to frame the narrative in the lead up to this budget. On the one hand, tremendously high cost of living and a PPP that has not been responsive to citizens' concerns. And on the other hand, a decline in our corruption perceptions index and a natural resources fund act, which has been stripped of all of its control. So you have a situation where this budget raises a lot of really serious questions. And we're all kind of waiting with bated breath to see exactly how the PPP will try to spin this. And so we can assess what really is going on in this budget.
In assessing what's really going on in the budget, I tell you what, I was speaking with some folks out in Blackbush Polar earlier, and some folks at Alnis Village, and some folks in my very own village, Philippi Farm. And they weren't too impressed at all about what Jack Deo and the PPP and these guys are talking about the budget, because lots of broken promises, even in previous budgets and so forth. So they know that it's a political gimmick, and they are prepared to hear that sort of gimmick again tomorrow, because for them, It's a laughter. It's a laughing story. It's kind of like one of those shows, nothing to laugh about, or the other shows, no big thing or whatever, at the National Cultural Center. And so they are prepared to hear the lies. They're prepared to hear the propaganda and so forth coming out of the PPP guys them tomorrow about this budget, about them painting this picture that it's a budget for the people and there will be no new taxes, there will be nothing, and there will be monies and lollipops and all sort of things for people to go out there and do things, buy dog food, buy plantain chips or whatever. But here is my question to you, sir, as it pertains to the corruption. But that wasn't the question. I got sidetracked here. But in terms of the in terms of this budget, yes, here we go now. Lots of promises during the course of the campaign. One of them, and please talk to our people about this, talk to our listeners about this. Pierre Finale promised, that's just after he got released of the 19 fraud charges, he promised the people of Guyana 50,000 jobs. Almost 2 years since they've been installed. Not even 5 jobs, but 50,000 jobs. Talk about that a little bit, sir, please.
Yes, absolutely. That was a very bold promise there, but I think that's really coming back to bite them because they haven't been able to generate anywhere near that. Even at Gaisuko, there were some rehires. But the only way I had said at the time, the only way to generate that many jobs would have been to reopen quite a few estates and to staff them up and so on. And of course, those carry some serious negatives to the country because we now have to finance those estates. We've seen actually a cut in the sugar production output target. So there's actually, I think, a 30-something% cut in the target. So, my question is whether there's going to be about 30% of Gaisuko's staff laid off over the course of the year, or if alternatively you're going to see 30% salary decrease in Gaisuko staff if they're going to reduce production by that much. So I think, it looks like they're heading in the opposite direction. Certainly looks like they're heading in the opposite direction. And even, we've seen some statistics about the high level of youth unemployment, high level of unemployment in the country more broadly. And that is testament to the fact that they haven't been able to really hit that target. We'll see how they go, but I'm very doubtful because I think it's just a big blockbuster number. Why not 50,500? Why not 56,000? It's just a number that sounds good, but in terms of being tangibly achieved, they haven't taken those sorts of steps. One of the things that I would like to kind of point out to frame this discussion a bit is this. I am confident that more than half of the Guyanese population did not pass both math and English at CXC. I'm confident of that if you look at it over the statistics. That means that in terms of the types of jobs that can be created, in terms of jobs that are high wage jobs and so on, it's going to be difficult to do that without the appropriate education programs to build that out. So I think this 50,000 jobs idea was always fanciful. And it's not being put, a structure has not been put in place to ensure that they can reach any kind of target. It's just a buzzword as you're going to hear tomorrow in the budget.
It's just a gap, 50,000 jobs, nothing created. Go in Linden, go in Ituni, go in Kokwani, go in Bartika, go out in Mabaruma, go out in Madja, go out in Warlock. Talk to the people there. Go out in West and talk to the people all across Georgetown.
I saw them boasting about a call center that's going to create, I think, 150 jobs in Linden. And I'm here you promised 50,000 jobs to people and you're talking about 150 jobs being created. This, that's good. And I'd like the best for the people of Linden. But, is that a serious... it's pretty comical when you're going to highlight things like that.
And I'm not even sure. I don't know what's happening with that call center in Linden. I saw someone made a comment, DJ Tonda, who is from Linden also. He made a comment, mind you, allegations that workers at the call center just waiting to be paid. So there seem to be some problems. I don't want to be spreading that rumor there. I don't know who the proprietor is of that company. But if it is accurate, people need to be paid. Now, how much this pandemic plays in terms of the economy, because we know tomorrow we can almost preempt what they are going to say, that because of the sluggishness of the economy, put the blame on the COVID-19 pandemic and so forth. And they will promise that once this is all over, we're going to see a beautiful Guyana, a beautiful economy. Job is going to raise, unemployment will be reduced, and all these things. How much of a play the economy, we will hear about the pandemic and the economy tomorrow?
I'm sure that they'll try to play it up as a big barrier, but I think there are a couple of things that are really important to note. There's been a myth perpetuated by PVP that all of the inflation, all of the costs of living increases that we are seeing are due to the pandemic and are something that we're seeing across the world, and there's nothing they can do about them. I think this is, in many areas, very much false. For instance, what is going on right now with the fishing industry, with fishermen having to move from where they would like to actually fish because of, the oil and gas exploration boats are occupying that area and they have to move out, has, one of the contributing factors to them having a lower catch, or at least that's what the fishermen say. Now, if they have fewer fish to sell, then that's going to push up the price of fish because there's a lack of supply of fish. People are struggling to get fish, they'll be willing to pay more. Now, that is not in any way connected to the pandemic. That is as a result of the oil and gas industry. And unless the government steps in to find a way either to allow the fishermen to use those areas to fish, or to find a way to subsidize the prices or provide another incentive so that fishermen will actually fish more or have more access to waters to fish, that is going to persist. That type of higher price for something like fish will persist. And it has nothing to do with the pandemic. It has everything to do with the mismanagement of the country by the PPP. Another thing that I think is really important to note is that we've seen, again, incredibly high prices for rental properties and the property market in general. Now, more generally, property values and so on will grow as the economy grows, and obviously we're experiencing tremendous growth. This means, however, that a very robust program to deal with the cost of housing must take place. I even saw today someone post, something for rent for $80,000, in which the bathroom was in the same room as the bedroom, and someone pointed out that that's how you live in prison, where the toilet is next to your bed. And so, for $80,000,
well, you should ask me that question whether that is true or not.
Indeed.
That is exactly how it is, albeit at the Camp Street prison, you don't get a toilet. You get a posy, either a pink one or a blue one.
I see. Yeah, that's very grave indeed. But that is what we're seeing. And, the $80,000, I'm sure many Guyanese will relate to you, is their whole salary. And this isn't even in a ritzy area. This is a very basic area. So that gives you an indication of how difficult it is for people to find affordable living in this country and how much the prices have gone up. Now, does that have anything to do with the pandemic? Not particularly. What has gone on I believe, is that as companies like Exxon have come in, they've brought in staff. They want the staff to live in good areas and so on. And they've taken up a substantial amount of the housing supply. This has caused, in turn, there to be more demand for these other forms of housing because people have been displaced from where they would normally have lived. Right? It's a form of gentrification, if you're familiar with that, where people are pushed out of neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So that, again, is something that is not connected to the pandemic and which the government has not managed at all. There's not been incentives for people to build apartments and so on to help to ease, especially within the urban areas, these costs. And so we're starting to see more and more of these types of absurdities. $90,000 for a one bedroom, $80,000 for a one bedroom. And the quality of the properties, is not just for your viewers' context. That's 400 US for a one bedroom where your toilet is next to your bed. I mean, we're starting to get some very concerning things in this country, and that is just due to mismanagement.
Easy access. Your toilet is right next to your bed. That's kind of like a jail. It's obvious, pretty obvious. $80,000. I don't know who would want to, unless they're in Camp Street prisons or Luziknan or somewhere, man. Unless they're somewhere. Look, tomorrow the lies and lies and lies about the budget and for poor people and all manner of things and all Guyanese. And this is a caring installed regime. We're going to hear all of the rhetoric. What else do you anticipate coming out of that budget tomorrow? Certainly, and please don't tell me that they're going to say free education at the university level that they campaigned on, that they took away free education from the university level when they got in 1992. They took that away. In their campaign for the 2020 elections, they also said that they're going to reinstate free, something they took away. They're going to reinstate it. Almost 2 years now, not a word about free education at the university level. Do you expect that to be part of their agenda tomorrow?
Well, I don't know if you're aware or your viewers are aware, but I'm one of the most staunch advocates for the University of Guyana being, as I put it, in compliance with the Constitution, which says that the University of Guyana should be free. And indeed, it was free, and many senior people in our society benefited from that. Now, I don't anticipate that they're going to make the University of Guyana free. I would love for that to happen. However, I don't anticipate that because we have not seen any moves in that direction whatsoever, nor have we heard anything from them regarding the University of Guyana being free. It's my personal belief that the PPP would love to keep people paying for that university as long as possible, because they're quite happy to keep the status quo as it is. And in fact, with the amount of oil revenues that we had at the end of the year last year, more or less you could make the University of Guyana free for, I think, something like 30 years or some crazy figure like that, because it's relatively cheap as a university to make free, and we have very substantial oil and gas revenues. So we could do it if we wanted to. And I'm strongly advocating for that within the coalition, where we have called for this budget to include measures to make the University of Guyana free immediately, and for students to receive a substantial stipend to cover their internet costs. The stipend can cover the internet costs or transportation, etc. Because we understand that in the time of this pandemic, internet access is just the same as road access. It's something that you must have in order to function in society. You can't take classes if you don't have internet access, and that's something that has been painfully clear over the course of the pandemic. So that is something that I believe we really need to have in this country, but I don't anticipate the PPP is really serious about this particular area. And I myself have written along with the other advocates for free university education for over a year now. I've written to the Ministry of Education to engage them on this issue, and I've never received a reply, despite having provided in more than one format letters requesting a meeting on it.
All right, you're correct, and something that our guy Lemon would agree with you. It's in the Constitution, free education from nursery all the way to university. But yet over the years, thousands of people had to pay for their university degrees there at their tuition at the University of Guyana. And I'm glad that you also mentioned that it is the PPP. In 1992, you were probably probably in primary school then, or you weren't even in school as yet then. You probably weren't even born yet. Sorry about that, Mr. Lowe. But the PPP in 1992...
No comment. No comment.
No comment. And I should know of all persons. Now, look, in 1992, October 5th, when they got into office, lots of things they did, and they were wrong things. But one of them, those wrong things, was to take away the free university education. The PPP did that. For 23 years, they didn't give a damn about reinstating no fees at the university level, nothing whatsoever. But in the 2020 campaign, they went out there and they promised all sorts of things to give people lollipop. Jagdeer promised people lollipop, Irfan promised people lollipop, and all these manner of things, and free education at the university level. Almost 2 years now, nothing at all. I don't know. Again, are you optimistic that they are going to have that reinstated, the free education?
Well, one of the things I would say is this. I think that as far as education and as far as training goes for the oil and gas economy and the direction that the country needs to go, I think the PPP is woefully short to the point that I don't even think they're making a real effort. When you look at the Gold Scholarship Program, which I think has been their flagship program thus far, it's good that students have had the opportunity to get scholarships and so on. But that has not been focused primarily on the oil and gas industry. That's been a kind of a scattershot program with one or two areas for oil and gas and so on. I think that it is really important to understand that Guyana has a massive opportunity ahead of it in this industry. If you look at countries like Norway, they have, hundreds of thousands, I think it's in excess of 250,000 people in their oil and gas industry in various elements of production, whether it's upstream or downstream. We, I think, are heading in the direction of a Norway because I don't think this is the last time that Exxon will find oil. I think we're going to continue to see finds, and there's talk of as much as 12 FPSOs, going to be out there, production vessels. So we're going to see a big industry. But unless we train our people, unless we actually make an active effort to get people into school, unless we make the university free to encourage people not just to attend, but not to drop out, because the university has faced many over the years, lots of dropouts because people are unable to pay or have to take longer to finish because they're not able to pay. Unless we take those types of efforts to really upskill our population, we will not realistically be able to meet these labor needs, and will have to import labor, whether that's from the Caribbean or other countries, which as a Guyanese would be deeply concerning, because if you have your people here, how can you be importing labor rather than training your own people to benefit from the opportunities before them? And so I think this is an area of total neglect by the PPP. I think their focus is entirely industrial and not on education. And as a result of that, we've got some serious issues. As I mentioned, I'm confident that not more than half of Guyanese have both math and English, or have the 5 passes as an example required. I believe it's 5 passes to get into the University of Guyana. This means that more than half of the population is locked out of many of the higher paying jobs that come in the oil and gas industry from, studying, whether you're an engineer or so on, from that kind of study. And we really need robust programs to ensure that everyone is able to benefit from these opportunities, because otherwise foreigners will come and take these jobs. Guyanese will be at the bottom rung of the ladder, not earning what they should be earning. And while all of this is going on, the cost of living will go up and up and up, because the same individuals who are coming in from abroad to work in these sectors will be willing to pay higher rents and pay more and so on. And so while the country will be moving forward, we'll be leaving behind, the majority of our population to have a reduced standard of living, to punish essentially. This is unacceptable, but that's the direction we seem to be going.
Cost of materials, building materials, all these things gone right up, sky high under the PPP regime. Everything gone up, every single thing gone up. And look, the cost of a truckload of sand right now is $24,000+. $24,000. Everything gone up. People blood pressure gone up. You name it, it just gone up. We'll take a quick break because I want Crabman to talk about the things that gone up as well. Crabman will break it down. And as Crabman speaks, remember tomorrow the lies coming out of the finance minister about this budget. The lies, propaganda, and brainwashing of Guyanese people. But Guyanese people are way smarter than that. Right, Crabman? Tell them.
Pressure boss pipe. Pressure boss pipe, boy. Umaninza, Guyana de underwater. Oh, the wrong. Sorry. Umaninza, Guyana de under pressure. What? Bangamere is $400 pong. Trout $400 pong. Oh, you go buy that will sell back by. I just come and tell about bisa buy me little fish and mix with me little crab and sell. Thing that just raise, thing just double, the price just double. Oh, partner. What you could do now? You don't squeeze out the juice for the Guyanese people. The beer hawks left, what you gonna do with the orange? We can't eat the fucking hawks that we can eat. Pressure bust pipe and a pressure bust pipe. When you put up a fucking 20,000 this week, next week you put up a 10,000, other week you put up a fucking 15,000 end of the month, you gotta still borrow on 20,000, but somebody will pay the bill. Right now, like water bill, more dear than light bill. And then if you get cut off, me a walk little crab. Now crab man is walk little crab. They say me a do business, me gotta pay commercial. On 7.5 you gotta pay 15,000, but just put a man. Nah nonsense man. Me the people try rob you back your back, them a rob you in front of your face. Now look the goods gone. What I'm gonna do here, buddy? Light bill, phone bill, NIS, tax, ration. Look, thing that raised $2 more. Everything is just double all the time. People got dead of guy.
Making the short video for send to you and the viewers and listeners. All know we punishing in Guyana. Punishing. Rice gone up, sugar gone up, flour gone up, cost of living just gone up, gas gone up from 3,400 to 3,800. Real hungry days under this installed PPP government. Real hungry days.
Real hungry days. Are these people, are those folks in the installed regime, Jack Dave, and them listening to the people? Listen to crap, man. Listen to that lady just now. They are the people out there. They are on the ground. They are feeling the squeeze. A truckload of sand, $24,000. 1 pint of broom, $900 or $1,000, and all these different things. I don't know what's going on. Look, Mr. Lowe, Mr. Lowe, I don't know what's going on. Please, I don't know. Speak before we go to the Honorable Member of Parliament, Gerardo Fernandez, with us.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that's being discussed by economists across the globe is that the price of oil is very high, and it looks as if it will be sustained at a high price throughout the year. Now, what that means is that cost is being passed on across many other sectors to increase prices. So we're going to see high cost of living again this year. But, we seem to be forgetting that we produce oil. And so as much as the price is high, it means that we are getting supernormal revenues from this. Remember, a lot of our planning over the years has been built around the $50 oil price. If we're getting $85, maybe $90, perhaps $100, that would be twice what our long-term plans are. And so the real urgency of redistribution is here. And I think that you can see it in something specific as the price of fish doubling. The government really should make an effort to ensure that price comes down, given the reasons I explained for why it went up, with fishermen having to leave areas that are being explored by the oil and gas industry. We should not only be raking in money and people, their standards of living falling. We should be ensuring that as the country rises, everyone rises with the country.
Well said. And let's take this time out to welcome the Honorable Shadow Minister of Finance, Gerardo Fernandez, Member of Parliament. Good evening to you, MP, and welcome to Straight Up.
Good evening, Mark. Good evening, Elson. It's always a pleasure to be here. I haven't actually been here a while, but it's so good to be back here. I know that we're preparing to head into tomorrow into the National Assembly to listen to the presentation of the budget, and we had a preview today actually of what to expect, and we had Irfan Ali come in.
All right, the Honorable MP Gerardo Fernandez probably having some internet problems. Let us hope that will be part of the budget tomorrow, because they need to do something with the telecommunication system in Guyana. And people are paying a heck of a lot of money for internet services. And at the end of the month, at the end of the day, this is what happens. So we are hoping to get back the Gerardo Fernandez, the Member of Parliament, shortly. But I was going to get straight to the point to ask her about what Jack Davis is saying, no taxes, no nothing, and money for everybody. Money for everybody. I don't know what money they're talking about, but we're hoping that we are going to be joined again by the member of parliament, Ms. Jurata Fernandes. Lots of things gone up. Everybody's talking about that. Nothing about raise of pay for anybody, public service servants, or nothing at all. Go ahead, Madam MP. You were making your point. Sorry about that.
Well,
Again, we're gone. I don't know what is happening. The MP should probably reposition her computer or go closer to the what is it, the internet. Mr. Lowe, you want to fill in the meanwhile?
I think the word you're looking for there is rota. As it concerns tomorrow, one of the key things.
Well, one second. Thank you so much when you say router. I appreciate the fact, and you could tell how I did in math, right? But continue. or technology.
One of the key things that I think is fresh and that Guyanese should be aware of is this is the first time that we're going to have direct oil revenues included in the budget. And of course, the Natural Resources Fund Act was butchered recently to remove all of the various safeguards. PPP really took an axe to it. And now we're going to see perhaps the entirety of the funds that are in there drained to finance expenditure. However, it says that, expenditures must be related to national development priorities, especially things related to the green economy, etc. We need to see and account for every last dime of this $600 million US that's going to be spent. Every last dime. And we should not see it going towards just basic budgetary support like paying off debt or something to that effect. That is not connected to these large infrastructure projects or other national development oriented projects. It's not just money that is to be given away. The law specifies it must be connected to national development projects. So we have to be very alert as to what we're going to see tomorrow, as to what dodges we're going to see, regarding where this money is being spent and so on. Because it's the first time in our history that we have to deal with something like this, a huge amount of money. We're talking about, I think it's about 120 billion, which is about 30% of the national budget that's available to be spent. Very huge sum of money. We have to see exactly how it's being spent. We have to make sure that every dollar is accounted for, because this is something that we have to get accustomed to every year, making sure that money is not going down a black hole. And and when we look around for the effect of the money, what we've actually been able to accomplish, we can't point to anything. So that is a real risk that we now face. And of course, because many of the safeguards that existed in the Natural Resources Fund Act have been removed, we don't have independent oversight such as civil society, such as the Chartered Accountants Association, the Bar Association, etc., to look at the spending and provide assessments of whether it has been meeting its mandate. Rather, we have a much reduced oversight committee, much reduced powers and focus of that committee. And so, it's left kind of to the whims of the PPP as to what they do and how the money is used. Therefore, we must up our scrutiny.
I don't want us to lose Jurata Fernandes again. She is closer to the internet. You mean the router, right? She is closer to the router, indeed. I see Javed, and is it Javed? Yeah, Javed is having a field day here with me. Thank you, Javed. I appreciate it. There you go. You're closer to the router. Go ahead, make your point about the budget presentation for tomorrow.
I'm actually using my my phone data because I don't know what's going on with the internet, but persons living in Guyana, Elson, could tell you that it's not very reliable. So we're very thankful when we do get it, and we see absolutely nothing indicating that it's going to get better very soon. I was going to make the point, Mark, that we are heading into the National Assembly tomorrow to listen to the budget presentation by Ashley Singh, and before that, we had a preview today with Irfan Ali, and he came and he spoke to the people of Guyana, and he was supposed to be given a preview of what we are to expect tomorrow. Basically, he came and he said absolutely nothing. There was nothing definitive in what he said. There's absolutely nothing that you can hold on to and say, oh, well, this is going to be good for the people of Guyana. I was following the comment section very closely when I was listening to his presentation, and persons were saying, you're not saying anything. What about the income tax threshold? Is that going to be increased? What about wages and salaries? We're not hearing anything about this. But again, every statement that he made is basically saying that they're going to go right back to where they were before, and they are going to be utilizing policies to make sure that the only thing that they're interested in is trickle-down economics. Elson and we would have spoken about this on several different platforms, and we see absolutely nothing different coming. I know I bet some money on how this budget is going to go, and I'm very, very sure that I'm going to be cashing in tomorrow, because trickle-down economics will not work. But the PPs, yet they're going to come again, and they're going to make sure it's another budget for the boys. I said this earlier today. I'll say it again. Right now, if I'm to actually put a label to the budget, it's going to be that, another budget for the boys. So I know for sure that the public sector, they're not going to be seeing anything. If there was anything significant that was going to come to the public sector, it would have been spoken about today. But there was no indication whatsoever of that. We hear about all these all the nice words, transformative and all of that. They're looking to just dazzle persons with BS. But we know that the ordinary Guyanese, the working class of this country, will not benefit from this budget. They did not benefit from the last two budgets, and this is just a continuation of what the PPP have been doing. So, Mark, we will break it down as soon as I have it in my hands. We'll break it down. I love to come back on your program when I do have that piece of documentation, so that we can go through it. But I know some interesting statements are being made by Byron Jagdeo when he's talking about them providing more jobs, and we are saying that, oh, you see, okay, you have one there, no new taxes in 2020 to PPP. Government folks are putting money in the hands of people. All right, and that is correct. And I think another statement that he made was also that they are going to be reducing the deficit, the budget deficit, right? But Elson, I don't know what type of economics is being done over there, but I think the type of economics that you and I basically did is would tell us if we're actually going to be reducing taxes, and then we're reducing the budget deficit, that what is he saying, that we should be expecting a smaller budget? So these are things that we'll be looking at. We would know that, Mark, everyone would know that the members of the opposition, there was chaos in Parliament last month when the Natural Resource Fund bill was passed, and that bill gave the PPP administration the power to withdraw all of the money that is within within our fund. And now with that money, accompanied with the taxes and borrowings, that's a budget that will be presented to us tomorrow. I made an estimation, and I said it should be somewhere around $500 billion. But then when the vice president is saying that they're going to be reducing taxes, and then he went on and said they're going to reduce the budget deficit, we don't know what we're looking at tomorrow. But it would be very interesting, because the last budget was 383.1 billion. So the last budget was that without the oil revenues. So now that they're adding the oil revenues, which is in excess of 120 billion. Now that they're adding that, we should be seeing a significant increase in the budgetary numbers. So we expect them to come with this huge budget ever. But again, I don't know how it's going to tie into the statements being made by Bar Jagdeo. So I'm looking at it. Again, like I said, no indication of anything in there for the ordinary working citizens of this country. We see everything being channeled into these cash cows. Mark, I think you would have a lot of knowledge on the Mile of Falls project. This is something that the PP is resurrecting. in this budget. They basically said that they want I think the prime minister actually said that at 15 minutes to 3 a.m. this morning when we were in the National Assembly, and he was speaking about the fact that they want that project to be completed before December. Elson, you and I would both know that is not possible. So, these things are just, these words are just dazzle some person's mind, and basically it's a blatant insult to the intelligence of the Guyanese people when you come to the National Assembly and you address the people of this country and you say all of these nice things to them, and it does that does absolutely nothing to uplift their standard of living. And I think the coalition administration did an excellent job at putting money directly into the hands of the ordinary Guyanese, and this is something that the PP is now willing to do. They're not willing to do it at any point in time. No indication that has been made that public servants, we care about you. But guess what? They're going to come mid-year mark, and I think I'm going to say it here. I haven't said that here. My prediction is, no matter how big this budget is, the PPP is going to come mid-year, and they're going to come with a supplemental, to take money out again and go and give to their support base. Because guess what? This year, we should be having local government elections, and they will make sure that they have monies in their hands to go and give to their supporters, because that's how they buy votes. That is what they do. That is the business they're in. And they know at that point in time, cost of living is still going to be skyrocketing because they're putting no policies in place to curb that. Cost of living will be skyrocketing. Persons will be starving, and they will be happy to get any bit of monies in their hand. But we only see cash cows in this budget. That is all I can predict. I am yet to be proven wrong, and absolutely nothing to do for the working class of Guyana.
Well said, Honorable Jaretta Fernandes, Member of Parliament. She's also the Shadow Minister of Finance. Also, I saw a couple of comments. People want to know what is Elson's position, whether he's a member of Parliament. No, he's not a member of Parliament, at least not as yet. Maybe next time around, you never know. They're also asking what's his position, and I'll allow Mr. Lowe to let them know that he works at the Leader of the Opposition's office. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I provide economic advice to Leader of the Opposition, but also to leadership more broadly within the PNC.
All right, well said. Let's get back to Ms. Fernandes. Now, concerning this here, you talk about put more money in people's hands. This is what Jack Davis promising people. Again, putting more monies in people's hands. Your take?
No new taxes is not put in one line cent. I can't say it any other way, into the hands of Guyanese people. This is something that the PP did when they came from the very first day they set foot in office, the very first budget that they came with for a second. That's what they've been doing. They keep telling Guyanese that when they reduce taxation, it's going to be monies back into the hands of the ordinary Guyanese. It doesn't work like that. The taxes that they're reducing is directly at the business community, and not just the business community. It basically benefits persons with large businesses, and those persons are least bit interested in cutting back on their profits. So what happens in essence is that the more reduction they give in taxation to those people, their profits increase. They're not going to be in turn raising the wages and salaries that they pay to their employees or anything like that. They're not going to be reducing the cost of the goods and services that they provide. They don't do things like that. So it's another indication. That statement altogether, Nelson's right here. He can chime in on that when I'm done. Also, that statement that he's making is a statement made by persons who practice trickle-down economic policies. That's what that is. When you say, "Oh, we're going to reduce the taxation," so we're going to be putting more monies in the hand of the people. Let me tell you this, Mar. The AP and UAFC administration did the only thing that puts money directly into the hands of the ordinary Guyanese. You know what that was? That was simple. They went out there and they had a structured tax system in which they collected tax, and then they redistributed that directly into the hands of the ordinary Guyanese to increase wages and salaries. That's how you do it. That's how you put money back into the hands of the ordinary Guyanese person. And that's what the coalition did. And we did it without oil revenues. But The PPP is coming with the very first budget that is utilizing the oil resources, and we hear absolutely nothing indicating to us that they're going to give any increase or any significant increase in wages and salaries to the ordinary Guyanese. So that is how you do it the right way if you want to do it. Any other way, that little statement that you just put up there, the only thing that is doing is dazzling with the BS. That's what that is doing. Just putting some words together, and some persons are not going to question it, so it's allowed to go. But I saying that I'm getting prouder and prouder of Guyanese because I see more and more people from throughout the country, regardless of what political base they represent and so forth, speaking out against these matters. You know why? Because mothers have to feed their children and it's difficult. Fathers have to go out there and work, and they know how difficult things are right now. So people are speaking out and they want to see what is the real benefit that is going to come to us, the ordinary man and woman, and they're not seeing it. And this budget, the monies that will be spent, it's their money. The government is just entrusted to spend the people's money in the best way so that the people will benefit from that. And that is not what is going on right now. We see a government that is utilizing the people's money to enrich themselves and their families and their friends, and that little cabal at the top there that is sucking the country dry. And people are seeing it and they're speaking up against it.
Lots of people are seeing, they're speaking up against it. Pressure, pressure, bus pipe. I'm sure you saw Crab Man. Lots of ordinary people, even supporters of the PPP, the installed PPP regime, are fed up. Now, before we get back to Elson, your take on this corruption, third most corrupt country in the region. Welcome back, PPP. Your take, MP.
Well, what persons can do, I would encourage persons to actually follow the trend that we have been going through in the pathway over the last, for example, over the last 10 years. You can look from 2012 moving forward, and you will get a better understanding of how Guyana have been moving when it comes to corruption. In 2013, it was that Guyana received its highest ranking ever when it comes to corruption. Guyana, we were there under the PPP administration, and it was just getting worse. When the coalition came into office in 2015, that our ranking improved tremendously. It was 2019 that we received the best ranking ever, and it was amazing that in such a short period of time, the APNU AFC administration could have undone all the damage that was done during the PPP administration when it comes to corruption. But yet these very people, they're propaganda specialists. They would go out there and they will speak as though they were never involved in corruption and they don't know anything about corruption. But yet all the international institutions that actually do corruption ranking had placed Guyana right there at the very top under the PPP. What we saw in at the end of 2021, we've just started 2022. What we saw is that since the PPP came back into office, Guyana has gotten 2 points worse when it comes to corruption. So there you had the coalition tremendously bringing down the ranking when it comes to corruption. And now, as soon as the PPP is back into office, less than 2 years, we have already worsened 2 points on the corruption index, and those are the things that persons need to understand. It's a corrupt regime. We don't just come out and say the PPP corrupt. The statistics show that the PPP is corrupt. Okay, so persons need to understand that we just don't come out and say it because we don't like a certain set of people. We come out and we give you the facts. These are the facts. These are the figures. I know persons in accounting, persons in economics. We just don't speak things just loosely. If we have facts to substantiate what we're saying, we're going to go ahead and make those statements. And I keep making these statements. Barjagya went out and said that they have employed more persons. We went to the Bureau of Statistics, and the Bureau of Statistics is actually reporting that the unemployment rate is higher right now. So it's like, do they not read their own reports? You have to question these things because the Bureau of Statistics is coming under the government of the agency right there. Yeah, Barjagdio is coming and say they're employing more persons, when the Bureau of Statistics is literally reporting figures that says more persons are unemployed right now. So we have these misinformation that is peddled by the PPP administration. They do it in the National Assembly, and they are geniuses when it comes to lying to the Guyanese people. They believe that they don't have to be accountable, and this is something that we have been fighting to combat. Programs like yourself and so many others who do these programs also help to combat the misinformation by bringing the facts to the Guyanese people. And this is why, Mark, you have such a high following, because you bring the facts. People know when they come and look at Mark Bishop, he's not just going to bring nonsense. He's bringing facts. He's bringing the information with that is credible.
Yep, and thank you so much. One of the information that I want to bring so that the people can see that this is a pot, right? And Barrett Jagdev is saying, seriously, tomorrow this is the propaganda they will spread. Yes, the first time I have a pot on the show, and they're promising to put stuff in the people's pot. But look, just a spoon and a lollipop and nothing else in the pot. That is what the PPP is doing to the people of Guyana. And in tomorrow's budget, expect nothing. Jack gave them to put nothing in your pot. Absolutely nothing in your pot. Mind you, you spoke about trickle-down economy and so forth and so on. He graduated almost 40 years ago at, where was it, Lumumba University, somewhere in Russia? I don't know. I don't know. But
I don't know, Mark. I just know that I did my degree in economics at the university
recently,
and I went on to.
He did almost 40
Yes.
years ago. 40 years ago. So your brain fresh, real fresh. But look, this year, 10 persons have succumbed today as a result of COVID-19. 10 persons. Tomorrow's budget, we're going to hear about hundreds of millions of dollars they need in the health sector. Of course, it will be billions, but they're going to be talking about hundreds of millions of dollars to fight this pandemic. They have worsened in terms of, it has gotten worse under their regime in terms of combating it, compared to what happened under the coalition government that was far more prepared to get that specialty hospital, something that the PPP installed regime condemned. Let us talk about that in the budget tomorrow and how they're going to use this here to milk more monies from taxpayers, pretending that they are going to be fighting this pandemic when in fact they're not. Your take, Mr. Lowe.
Well, to frame the issue, the first thing I'd say is that we've recently seen Guyana go to level 4 of the CDC, the US CDC's recommendations, which indicates that you shouldn't travel to Guyana because of the COVID surges, in the country. It's much too severe. And we've also seen the Ministry of Health here locally, Public Health here locally, say that they're stepping back testing, while PAHU has said that you should be testing more during this stage of the pandemic. So we're seeing some really negative signs in terms of the mismanagement. And I think the result of that is, these substantial deaths. Mismanagement by the PPP has resulted in, I think, more deaths than we otherwise would have had. I've mentioned previously that as far as COVID is concerned, really you should try to adapt to the circumstances, and where you have more difficult circumstances with higher case counts, you should try to be a bit more cautious and restrictive. But that's the opposite of the approach that you're seeing with the PPP. You're seeing them reopen schools and so on. You're seeing hundreds of teachers report that they're infected, and they may be making the claim that, deaths haven't really increased as much as people have gotten COVID. But it would appear that is a false statement, because now we have 10 people, that are dead as a result of this substantial surge. And from an economic point, what we'll see tomorrow, I'm sure, will be an attempt to try and close off the pandemic in their minds. So just, a tail end of it. But I would really want to see substantial monies put towards testing, put towards ensuring that we have another round of cash grants to stabilize the economy, and put towards, recognizing that certain areas suffer much more than others, in particular the tourism industry. If we're going to be back on this, if we're going to be on the CDC list as a country not to travel to, I would imagine that the tourism industry will be in a bit of trouble leading into Mashramani and so on and so forth. So you'd like to think that there'll be some sort of support there. But I think this is doubtful, because we haven't seen that in the past. and the PPP has shown no indication of changing the way that they operate. So sadly, we're seeing the negative consequences of poor management, and we don't really have something to look forward to in the budget in terms of a turnaround of that management.
Absolutely not at all. But let's go back. 10 persons died today. I think about 4 died yesterday, 7 the previous day, 8 the other day. All these things. The health ministry, the health sector just gone berserk. They're not doing much. They're a bunch of incompetent people. But yet, part of my prediction is that they are going to ask for hundreds of millions of dollars, not just for the entire health sector. We know billions of dollars, but they're going to ask for hundreds of millions of dollars to combat this COVID-19 pandemic. Your take on that, Ms. Fernandez?
Well, actually, I haven't heard anything meaningful coming from anyone that is indicating that they'll be dealing with the COVID pandemic in any constructive manner. The PPP have one ideology when it comes to COVID, and this has been their method of dealing with it from day one. They believe, I think it was Barry Jagdi, if I'm not mistaken, that said some people have to die. You know, I think they're very bold in saying that they made a very early decision to open back. I believe it was Ashley saying that was on NCN saying that they made a very early decision to open back the economy, and that is the method that they go ahead with, because they had a decision to make whether or not they're going to preserve lives or they're going to maximize profit, and they chose to maximize profit at the expense of Guyanese lives. And this is why since they've been in office to now, under their administration, I believe it is about probably over or just about 1,200 deaths thus far, right? Between 11 and 1,200 deaths thus far since the PPP took office, because they made that decision. They decided that they're going to risk human lives, and some lives will be lost, and it is going to be okay because their friends make money. Even when it comes to the policies that they implement here, when it comes to the curfew, I can tell you, we've been talking about these things over some period of time now. You will see the police stopping at all of these little shops and so along the street corners, and they will be closing them off at a specific time if they got 5-6 persons there. But then when you see the friends of the government, they have their large businesses, and they carry on throughout the night, and they don't care, because their policies are specifically geared at pleasing those persons and making sure that whatever needs to be done so that they make money is done, even if persons go there and they are put at risk of being infected, they're put at risk of spreading COVID, and they don't care. They basically do not care. I don't expect to see anything that is going to be geared at fighting COVID specifically. I believe that anything that is we've learned, and we have to take pattern from what we've seen before. That's just a fact of it. This is not the first budget that is coming from the PP administration. This is the third since they've been in office thus far, and we can take pattern from what we saw before. And what we've seen before is the only thing that they're interested in is making sure that they fill their pockets, and their friends and family, they fill their pockets. I think the word as that was introduced into National Assembly by the opposition was kleptocracy, because that's what we've been seeing. These are the tendencies that we've been seeing. So anything that comes to the National Assembly, regardless of what ministry those resources are aimed to, it goes through a process of corruption. Nothing happens straightforward. Nothing is done in a transparent manner. We have to get questions in when it comes to the budget estimates. You're going to watch and you're going to see it's going to go down like that again. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that somebody come to their senses when it comes to how those estimates are interrogated after the budget debates. But I don't expect to see much difference in all of these things. But Mark, just back to your point with the monies that they'll be asking for COVID. any monies that they come and they ask for will not go into actually benefiting the people. Yes, the people get some benefit at the tail end, but it's always about the better deal. That is how they do things. Everything that they do is about the better deals and what gives the most kickbacks. That is how they operate, and we've been seeing it all along.
Lots and lots of that indeed. We're looking at time, and honorable member, who is also Shadow Minister of Finance, Dorato Fernandez, with us, and we have the guy that deals with economics in the leader of the opposition's office and at the PNCR headquarters at Congress Place as well, Elson Lowe. Quickly, I must say to you, honorable MP, that I was a little bit disappointed in you, that I saw a bulletin issued by the Speaker of the National Assembly, this pro PPP guy, uh, unjustly attacking these people. And I didn't see your photograph there. I'm like, where are you? Where are you? But on a serious note, what's your opinion on this sort of masquerade that's going on, especially coming out from the PPP side and the Speaker of the National Assembly wanting to sanction these individuals, your colleagues? Your take on it quickly, please.
What I can tell you, Mark, is I think I was utterly disappointed myself. I mean, I was right there. I was sitting in National Assembly myself and Amanza Walton. We were right there with Natasha Singh Lewis. And myself and Amanza Walton this year, we were not sent to the privilege committee. We want to know why. We're like, what else do we need to do in defense of the people of this country? But as you can clearly see, the entire National Assembly was in chaos. On that day, there was everyone that was out of their seats. The PVP members, some of them was very vulgar, cursing out to the top of their lungs. And it was crazy. Well, I don't want to talk about that person, Mark. That's a special breed of person right there. I don't know how else to say that. I think that that is one of the most vulgar, disrespectful. Uh, he's sexist. That person there is just not fitted for.
You're calling to lots of big words, lots and lots of big words that he, Anand Prasad, wouldn't be able to pronounce. He wouldn't be able to pronounce. But continue, because that those folks are comics. But continue, please.
Well, what persons need to know, for persons who don't know us yet, is that those 8 persons that, well, it was the government chief whip Gail Teixeira that asked for those persons to be sent to the privileged committee. But what persons need to understand also is that before the sitting of the National Assembly yesterday, actually on Sunday night, a correspondence was sent in to asking for 22 members, and that is from the opposition. The opposition chief whip sent that in, asking for 22 members of the PPP to be sent to the privileged committee because of the same misconduct in the parliament. And as persons, everyone that views the video could see that there were persons from the People's Progressive Parties right there, very loud and very disruptive in the house. And there the chief whip of the PPP came forward and singled out 8 persons. How she arrived at those 8 persons, I can't say. I know, like, but Christopher Jones, he's the chief whip. Garnish Maipol, he likes to give trouble. Annette Ferguson, Tabitha, Natasha. I don't know how they arrived at these persons, but Sherrod Duncan basically if he had just attended Parliament, he would have been in that list because they have it out for him, gunning for him like that. So it's just Marie, and I don't know how they arrived at all of these persons, but they've sat down and they made a decision that out of all the chaos in Parliament, that they're going to ask for these 8 persons to be sent to the privileged committee. And Mark, if I dare say that those are my colleagues, each and every one of them: Christopher Jones, Annette Ferguson, Sherrod Duncan, Marine Philadelphia, Garnish Maipol, Tabitha Saraba Haley, Vince Roy Jordan, and Natasha Singh Lewis. And I stand with each and every one of them. I am super proud of the fight that they put for the people of this country. It was no ordinary day in the National Assembly. The people of this country was going to be robbed of the oil resources, wealth that should be directed only for their benefits. And we saw that the PPP was going to misuse and abuse their one seat majority in the House to pass that. And we did everything in our power that we possibly could at the moment to try to delay the passage of that bill. Of course, the PPP, when the speaker went ahead and said in all that chaos that the bill was passed, of course we don't agree with that, and we believe that the bill was not passed. Hence we were not a part. Yesterday actually there was another there was another motion in the House that to have a representative from the National Assembly to sit on a committee of that. That was a result of that bill. And I can tell you, Mark, we did not participate in that because we cannot participate in a process that we do not believe to be legal, and we do not believe that that bill was legally passed, and hence we cannot participate in anything that surrounds it.
Well said. Quickly before we go to Mr. Lowe for his closing remarks, what's the situation with the motion, the no confidence motion against the speaker? And I want our folks to see the speaker of the National Assembly. That's him. Yeah, Manzoor Nadir. That's him. I know all of you opposition MPs have no confidence, no faith in him whatsoever. What's the status of that motion?
Well, we had no to this point. Let me just coin it in this manner. To this point, we had no indication that it was going to be held back. We were given every indication that it would go through the normal process of a motion, and in eventually be on the order paper. But I say to this point because we don't know what the future holds. But to that particular motion, what I can say is that that basically that's the last resort that the opposition actually went to, because I think this is 2022 and the PPP went into office, and the speaker took his seat in 2020, and from that point onward the opposition has been actually using every other method to try to get what we would say unbiased rulings in the House. And we believe that a lot of what we try to do in representation of the people of this country is muzzled, and we cannot continue like that. So having a no confidence motion against the speaker is a last resort, but those things have to be done because we don't represent ourselves. We represent the people of this country, and when we are not being allowed at the level of the National Assembly to fully, accurately, efficiently, and effectively represent the people of the country, we have to do whatever is necessary to make sure that we can fulfill our mandate.
Well said. Let's go over to Mr. Lowe. Elson Lowe, your closing remarks, please. At least leave the people with something in their pots. We know tomorrow the PVP will be promising the people a bunch of empty pots, but leave our listeners with something promising. Closing remarks.
Well, what I would say is, in a way, tomorrow.
Yep, looks as though it's acting up now. It's his router, his internet is acting up, so he has to go closer to his router.
Mark, no idea. It's ridiculous here.
I don't know what's happening there, man. An apartment. What is it? An apartment with a bed and a toilet and a bathroom next to each other for $80,000, and this is the internet system. Let's go right ahead, Gerard. Your closing remarks.
Well, my closing remarks is I would say it's a pity Elson got disconnected. Elson is a very brilliant young economist. I dare say he's been doing a lot of good work. Well, he's back. So I can continue. Yeah. I can continue to give him credit. He's been doing a lot of good work when it comes to bringing the facts to the people. I admire his work as a young person, and we need more persons like him out there doing exactly what he's doing. Very, very concise and very to the point with whatever he says. We have so many situations. We are thankful right now that you can see us. We're not in the blackout, because that is one of the sore issues that we're facing right now. Water shortage, power outages practically every single day, and it's crazy because in the National Assembly, last evening, and that this is going to be my closing point. In the National Assembly last evening, when the gas shore motion was being debated, the PPP actually stood up and said that they came and reached GPL on its knees, and of course, Mr. Patterson had an amazing rebuttal for them, because his rebuttal came with facts, and he reminded the PPP administration that during the 5 years of the coalition in office from 2015 to 2020, GPL, for the first time ever in the history of GPL in this country, before it was what was it?
Guyana Power and Light. Oh, that's GPL. So it was Guyana GEC.
GC, yes, that's what it was. So even prior to it being GPL, there was never one time in a 5-year period that that the company bought 5 generating plants. And I tell you, David Patterson, under his administration, not 5, sorry, 9. 9 plants were purchased and distributed throughout this country, regardless of the support base that it went to. Whomever were in need got those things, you know. But right now, the people came into office, and just like that, the blackouts came, because it's not an issue with resources and all of that. It's an issue with failure of management, and the failure of management is happening at the very top. Everything that we're seeing is the result of incompetence at the very top. So I will just close by saying we expect absolutely nothing different moving forward. We expect to go into the National Assembly tomorrow and listen to a budget that will be presented, and monies, taxpayers' dollars, will be placed into the hands of persons that are incompetent in managing, and persons that are only interested, their only talent is to take what is not theirs and misuse what does not belong to them. And the people of this country will be left for another year with minimum to live off of. We see no method and no policies aimed at reducing the cost of living, but we have to continue to expose these people. We have to continue to push. We are expecting a local government election this year. We're going to see what the budget says about that tomorrow, but we're expecting a local government election this year, and I believe the people are getting wiser and wiser. So we will continue to bring the information. We will continue to let persons see what is going on and how things are being, how the government of the day is actually working against their betterment and doing everything in its power to make sure that their standard of living does not increase, and what is worse, that their standard of living actually have decreased since the PPP took office.
Well said. Their standard of living has actually decreased since these people were installed. Tomorrow they're going to be putting empty stuff in the pots. There's nothing for people, and this is no joke. Just a piece of lollipop. Something Jack Dale has promised the people: lollipop. All right, good. So that's all in the budget for the people tomorrow. Nothing else. Lies upon lies upon lies and propaganda. But let's go to the youngster, Mr. Lowe, for his closing remarks. They're going to put empty stuff. There will be nothing in the pots for people. Offer the people some sort of hope, though, in your closing remarks, sir.
Well, what I would say, Mark, is by the time the PvP is done, the people, they'll be eating a lollipop with a spoon. You know, the head will be spinning so much from the endless propaganda that makes no sense that they'll be throwing at us. But you know, I think that, as I was saying, we're entering a new era. We're now actually going to see oil revenues directly used in the budget of the country, directly being spent. And so citizens, I think, more than ever, must ask themselves, all right, now we got oil. Guyana got oil. How is it benefiting Guyana? You know, this is really the moment to start asking that question, you know, fully and to really robustly question and interrogate this. How is it benefiting Guyana? Is it benefiting you as a citizen? You know, the country is supposed to grow by, you know, almost 46%, almost 50%. Are you going to be 50% better at the end of this year? You know, how are you benefiting? And I think that as we look at this budget, you want to be optimistic that we'll have a good year for the country. But the budget really is going to be a test of the PVP's management of all revenues. The first time we're actually seeing the management of the cash itself. So citizens really have to clock in and ask themselves that fundamental question, because it's no use. We have oil, things look good, but you are not benefiting. You as an ordinary citizen are not benefiting. In fact, things are getting worse. And as we've, mentioned in the past, oil is a funny thing. Doesn't necessarily mean progress. It can actually mean the opposite if it is mismanaged. And so I think we're about to see exactly how that can play out.
All right, thank you both so much. I know you have a busy day tomorrow, Honorable MP. I know Mr. Lowe will be busy as well. We wish you guys all the best, and thank you so much. Don't be a stranger. Come back here pretty often. You've been away from us for a while. All right?
Wait till
You have been away from us for a while. So, yeah, sorry, this is what I do too, to ensure that there's enough on the budget for her tomorrow. But little kids, don't expect anything tomorrow on the budget for little kids, school-age kids, and these sort of things, right? Lollipop? Good. There we go. Thank you all so much. Continue the great work there in Guyana. So long. Yeah. All right. So, Ms. Doretta Fernandes, Member of Parliament, and Mr. Lowe as well. But tomorrow, expect nothing in that budget. Absolutely nothing in that budget for the people. Don't worry what Jack Deere is saying, that there will be, what was it? Money in the pockets for everybody. No, nothing. Money in the pockets for the boys, the big boys. You know what I mean, Jack Deere? The big boys. That is what it is about. So don't fall for that propaganda. Do not fall for that propaganda. Look, I'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time, right here on 107.1 FM. Straight up. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, we have the, the mid-morning show. Yep, with Gabriela Patram and DJ Selector Andre tomorrow morning. Again, thank you all for listening. God bless you. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. All right, so watch out for that tricky budget tomorrow. It has nothing inside for ordinary people. See you tomorrow. God bless you. So long.
So, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
What is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief? Number one, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number two, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob. But you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you. Because we choose them. We vote them. We blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our joy, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame. What a travesty. It calls for us to think and think deep. The stage we are in as a country is not a stage where you become an onlooker. You have become an onlooker for too long. You must get ready to put your hands to the plow and be part of the process. It's not just about PVC, carry PVC. You must be in the kitchen where it is being determined. You must be there where the decisions are being made. We are there in our numbers, they cannot outnumber us. But you leave it aloof. Oh, it's too dirty, it's a dirty game. And then the dirty guy is getting to the game of play, and you are there not showing up. And when they begin to make the decisions, you will know whether it's a dirty game or not. The result is always dirty on yours, dirty on your health, dirty on your business, dirty on your success and your career. I hope that is stirring up something in you.